What's up? I'm back. Welcome to Oism. And in this segment, I'm going to talk about minerals. This is going to be a very short segment. Um, I was reading up on some material, and minerals came to my mind. And minerals is interesting in the sense because I think a lot of people in the holistic community they talk about minerals, so I can't take that away. That'll be a lie if I say they don't talk about it. But I think sometimes when we deal with health, we could get distracted in a whole bunch of other things. So what I mean by that is, just like I did a video previously on veganism, and I was basically saying how you know anybody knows this veganism. If you have an animal product of any type, meaning if you're cooking with oil that's come from animal, if you're using deodorant that's come from animal, um, if you're eating eggs, and even though eggs is not meat, it comes from meat. Vegan would say that's not veganism. That's at best vegetarianism. And I can't say that's wrong. But then I flipped it and said, well, if that's the case. All plant-based matter, all animal-based, basically all plant-based matter is coming from soil, and soil is made up of dead organisms. So if that's the case, even when you're eating plants, because plants need dead organisms to some extent to survive, then vegans are guilty of the same thing vegetarians are, in the sense that vegans are still eating products that come from animals or animals affected. And I wasn't saying that to diss vegans, put them down. I wasn't even saying, oh, that's why people should eat meat. I was just trying to get people to think in a more scientific mindset. And what happened? Well, most people liked the video, but then other people got emotional about it and started talking about what I eat. If I'm a vegetarian, they obviously didn't know I'm not a vegan. But if I'm a vegetarian, do I eat meat? And they got into stuff that, or even people they start asking about alkalinity, and that had nothing to do with the topic. And the only reason why that happened was because people responded emotionally. And I think a lot of times in the holistic community, they've built a whole system of health based on emotion. And in a sense, that health is something, the human body is the most advanced organism on the planet, bar none, right? And when you understand that, you understand it's not as simple thinking that you can come up with the perfect program for the body. I mean, especially because everyone's body is different. Everyone's body evolved in different environments, from different places of origin, from different astrological signs, different lifestyles. Trying to find a magic way of getting someone to follow this health regimen, it's not going to really work. And I think a lot of times it's because we approach it emotionally and not scientifically, is where we don't have the success that we want to when it comes to matters of health. And it's funny because matters of health, they gets no simpler than minerals. Minerals are the most simple. I mean, they're very simple, very simple substance that are extremely important for your cells to function. And we could get into, like, for instance, emotionally, right? We could say, oh well, you're supposed to drink more water. Cool. Why? Well, water is H2O. Water is hydrogen and oxygen. There's something called CHNOPS, CHNOPS, right? Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur. Basically, the most important chemical elements that you could find that you need to maintain your health, bar none. No questions asked, bar none. And a lot of times when you look at it, you say, okay, hydrogen and oxygen is in that list. It's like 6 things, right? So you say, okay, cool. Well, water has both of them. Water is a molecule of hydrogen and oxygen. So then you can see why, scientifically, why water will be so important. Because any one of those six, any one of them is crucial. If you take any one of them out, you die. Period. So when you get a substance that has two of them, that's kind of unique. Hence, water is valuable. Water is useful. Water is important. And being able to understand that scientifically, it's different than it being able to understand it emotionally. When you understand it emotionally, you just understand it because someone told you that. And that's the difference. And this becomes important because when you start to deal with things like sugar and salt, where sugar and salt become the new boogeyman, but people don't really realize that your body breaks things down into sugar anyway. Sugar is the boogeyman if you don't know what sugar is. And if you don't know what sugar is and you eat the wrong type of sugar, yes, then it becomes the boogeyman. Same thing with salt. Is salt bad or is processed salt bad? This may seem like nitpicking, but it's extremely important when dealing with health. And the reason why, in my opinion, the alternative, I guess you could say the holistic community, to some extent the alternative health community, even though sometimes they kind of exist as two separate entities, to me, the reason why they don't teach this is because they keep you dependent on them. So, some people have holistic class, just like class. It's just like you go every Sunday, and you hear someone give a 3 hour lecture about health. And it's cool if you want to be a nutritionist, herbalist. Like, to me, only a nutritionist, herbalist, doctors should, doctors might only take one class in nutrition, but doctors should be in the list as well. Unless you're going to be a healer, a doctor to some extent. And even then, if you go every week, it's only going to last 2-3 years. Eventually, you're not going to go, you're going to get your degree or get your certificate, and you're done. But obviously, these things don't function like that. And when these things don't function like that, they function as a new type of church. And that's why when you could tell someone something logical, something that makes sense, oh, I'm not attacking veganism. I'm just saying, based on definition, vegans are still vegetarians. People act emotional because the whole holistic health community has been built on emotions. So we can get into alkalinity, we get into acidity, we get into, water, we get into should you sun gaze, we get into should you eat raw food. But in all those things, no one is looking at breaking it down from the base level. And the base level is the minerals. You need to know about minerals. You need to understand minerals. Once you understand minerals, you will understand then that minerals deal with balance. You have micro minerals, macro minerals, right? You have some minerals that you need in high doses. You got some minerals that you need in low doses. But either way, when you study minerals and you understand the effect on the body, you start to understand there is no bad minerals. Right? Even salt is not bad. It depends on how much salt you use. That's the difference. Once you start to realize that the emotions go away and you just go to realism. And the reason why you go to realism is because when it comes to your health, you shouldn't play games. When it comes to your health, if you have to go to class indefinitely forever to learn about health, there's a problem. Now, it's different even if you were a person who's a serious healer and you say, listen, I'm going to be an Ayurvedic doctor, I'm going to be a Western doctor, you're still talking about 10 years. And then every once in a while, you might go back to school to refresh stuff, but it's not going to be something that you're going to do, at least when it comes to the school level, indefinitely. Why? Because eventually with health, you start to realize health on one hand is about knowing it. The next hand is about doing it, meaning when you do it in your body. You experience it in your body. And then after that, it's about healing other people. So you ain't going to have time to do something where you're going to go every Sunday and get a 3-hour lecture about, oh, this food is bad, that food is bad. That's why with that setup, eventually when you go to these holistic lectures, then it goes into stuff like, oh, well, there's a whole bunch of vegetables you're not supposed to be eating. Right? Some people are like, oh, spinach is the boogeyman because spinach is too starchy. Carrot is the boogeyman because carrot is too starchy. It goes into then you run out of things, and then you have to start attacking. Because in the beginning you say, well, you're supposed to have a fruit, vegetable diet, plant-based diet. But if I gotta keep someone coming back every Sunday, I gotta give them more than that. So then I'll be like, oh, nah, well, there's a whole bunch of vegetables that's the boogeyman. You gotta come to me to learn that. Oh, yeah, water's important. You're supposed to drink a lot of water, but there's things called water fast, and your body can't handle. At certain points, your body has to be, I guess you could say, absent of water. So then you're supposed to stop drinking water and go into water fast. Now, I'm not even saying that's true or that's not true. I'm just saying I'm giving you examples of what happens when your, I guess you could say, education system when it comes to health, it's not really based on science and logic, and it's based on emotion. When it's based on emotion, emotions always have to get fed. So if you don't understand minerals in full detail, you don't understand what calcium is, what phosphorus is, what sulfur is, what hydrogen is, then you need to learn, because that's the key. Because that would even go and cross into your spirituality when you got everyone who wants to run away from the physical world. All these people want to run away from the physical world. Then they realize, oh, there's a reason why in alchemy, a lot of alchemical symbolism was built around metals, and metals comes from minerals. And then you start to see, oh, it starts to make sense, because then it starts to link into the spiritual world. So if you wanna say what's the first thing you're supposed to do when it comes to health, first thing is probably water. I ain't gonna lie, water is the most important thing to actually understand. Second thing is minerals. Third thing is the understanding difference between processed food, unprocessed food. You do those 3 things, you'd be much better off than someone else who's every day is going to some kind of class or reading some kind of book, and first they start off as only eating plant-based foods, and then they got to go more extreme into something else even more crazy. So hope that helps. Till next time, peace.